Hello there and good afternoon. Well, despite the best efforts of the establishment to try and downplay or even stifle the farmer protest on Tuesday the 19th of November, it is now ballooning completely out of their control. Especially after John McTernan, formerly Tony Blair's Director of Political Operations, telling Patrick Christys on GB News that we don't need small farmers and we can do to them what Thatcher did to the miners. Forgetting to mention the Labour lot prior to Thatcher shut the most mines down.
Farmers that may or may not be right. I'm personally in favour of doing to farmers want to go on the streets. We can do to them what Margaret Thatcher did to the miners.
So just to be clear, John, you would beat them up?
No, close them. I mean, there's an industry we could do without.
So, okay, all right. So this got weird. So you would do to farmers what Margaret Thatcher did to miners, which was, and she used very heavy-handed police tactics, followed by what? Putting them out of business.
If people are so upset that they want to go on the streets and spray slurry on them, then we don't need the small farmers.
Right. Okay, John, I'm not sure that's a particular... You were, just to clarify, you were a former Labour special advisor, possibly emphasis on the word former there, but just to go on, Ed Miller...
And in response to that, Dominic Cummings said... You remember Dominic Cummings, don't you? Yes, everyone remembers Dominic Cummings. He said, spread the word among farmers. Blair's lead advisor says close down all small farmers because they're a political enemy. Retweet so farmers hear the Labour plan. The NFU is telling farmers not to come to London to demonstrate. Terrible advice. I've been in the PM office when demonstrations happen. Westminster is weak as piss and B, the Met leadership always fold if numbers are over a threshold. We police by consent, Prime Minister. There's nothing we can do except manage it. Nut jobs are allowed to call for a second Holocaust waving Hitler photos every weekend in London. SW1 ignores and doesn't cover it in the news. Cops just watch. Farmers should ignore the NFU and cops. Flood the zone. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Well, that's Dominic Cummings being very straight and telling people to turn up and obviously not act violently, just turn up, protest and make their voices heard. So Labour is now showing us its true colours. Doesn't like anything about business, does it? Especially small businesses. Shut down small businesses and get them hoovered up by the big corporates. Then use the law to basically merge the government and the corporates together. All for total control. And then there's the woke lefty idiots on X calling small farmers Nazi scum off our streets.
Nazi scum off our streets! Scum off our streets! Nazi 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 scum off our streets! Off our streets! Off our streets! Nazi scum off our streets! Nazi scum off our streets!
So, Richard, what do you think about Labour losing the plot and this total attack on our agricultural system?
Thank you, Jeff. Well, the attitude of the left here in the UK towards farmers comes as no shock, seeing as the globalist left-wing ideology has manifested previously, as with the Dutch farmers, with the Dutch government's clamped down on their farmers. And let's not forget that last year we saw all these farmers across Europe uprising in an uprising, so we can't take this anymore. I mean, for now, that has been, the lid has been put back on the kettle on that one, on the pot, I should say. but it's not gone away. This has not gone away. So it should come as no surprise that our homegrown left-wing nutters should look down their noses at farmers. Half of these people would have us eating fake meat and bugs. Trouble with these liberal lefty types is most of them have never spent any time in the real world, done a hard day's work in their lives, and therefore do not know that food comes from farms and farmers. Yes, farmers, the one who produce the farm goods on the farms, from the cattle and from the crops. Yes, most lefties think that food miraculously appears on the shelves in supermarkets. In fact, most of them don't even go to supermarkets, they have it delivered. And they forget the fact that every mouthful of food that they eat has a farmer and his family's life interwoven in each mouthful. Yes, farmers drive around in nice big 4x4s and have farmhouses with open fires and lovely views, but there comes a cost with that, a huge cost. And that cost is back-breaking work every day of the year for their entire lives, from dusk till dawn. Yes, it's a very pretty prison to a lot of farmers, but they keep going because they have pride in what they do. They have a strength of character that I used to live next to where they used to hold an agricultural festival, agricultural day out, whatever you call it. And it would be filled with the hardest farmers, all of them walking with limps back. They're back. They all have the same waddle they did, bless them. Yeah. But, you know, they were strong, fit men. Yeah, you wouldn't want to get in a scrap with any of them. So, I mean, you have to remember the farmers' children grow up learning skills that most kids will never learn. And it's a hard life for those children as well. But it's an enriching life too. So the left and Labour are, I mean, I don't know why they're so adamant to bite the hand that feeds them, literally, and feeds the country. Why they do that is beyond me. One can only assume these people are so far in their detachment from reality that they believe that they can take on the farmers and win. Keep prodding a bear, and at some point that bear will be biting back. And this is a bear that the British people are behind. The British people are behind our farmers. We support you. Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. What this is, in reality, is a big push by the Labour Party to follow up on a big socialist plan. What they need is fewer of these small farms. They want them either split up and subsumed into larger farms, and then some of the land redistributed for rewilding, woodland, houses, and all the rest of it, and all the net zero stuff like solar farms and wind farms and stuff like this. But they want the big farms to start taking over. It's much like the buy-to-let landlord thing that's going on at the moment. They're hammering down on the buy-to-let landlords. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, isn't that wonderful? But at the end of the day, what they want is the same houses being rented out by huge banks, huge corporations. And that way, the Labour Party government can then work with the big multinationals to start forging this future socialist sort of state where the government just orders the big corporates to perform to the standards that they want, of handing out houses for free to some people and charging a fortune to others. And that's the sort of thing that's happening. And we must be aware of this. This is not just a single thing. If you look at the whole joined up plan of Labour, that's where it's going.
Yeah, there's a name for it. It's called fascism.
Oh, yes, I forgot that word.
But I mean, that's what, don't forget, as I keep saying a million times over, the National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany was the Nazi party.
Yes,
Socialist is in there. By the way, there's a good comment that I just did see here from Jafuli Porches. I'm a farmer and I'm in the farming community in Wales. No farmer up here has money. This is a corporate land grab, and it's all in a chain after the transfer of wealth and the unity of war. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's
and
exactly
here's one
what we're looking at.
Here's one from Daryl Hart. I farm. I can confirm it really isn't easy. Now, I wouldn't want to go and spend my life on a farm, to be absolutely honest with you. I mean, I'm a bit old for it now, but even as a young lad, I found, I joined the armed forces. That was hard enough for me. the thought of getting up at oh crack sparrow fart every day, every single day, and going to milk some cows and give birth to things and then chase some rats out of here. And
wait.
No,
Jeff, you don't have to give birth. It's all right. You don't have to give birth.
No, we can these days, we can give birth, All right. Right,
Richard.
Richard.
You want to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the food you eat does not come from Jeff giving birth to it.
Right.
Sorry, mate.
Now we're going to be serious, Richard. We're now going to be serious. This is a serious subject, I'll have you know.
I know it is.
Farmers are our life. Yeah.
Absolutely are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I lived on a farm for years, says Rod. Yeah, so excellent. Yeah. But this really does seem to me to be a very, very nasty situation that's developing here. If the farmers decide they need to blockade ports or they need to start blockading supermarket warehouses of this sort of thing, I mean, when your livelihood is on the line, when you were told a few months ago by the Labour Party that there was no plans to crack down on you and no plans to rip your property off of you, no plans to strip your assets, and then the day after the election we start hearing about this rot, then you know that the farmers have got a case. It wasn't in the manifesto, for crying out loud. Oh, says Labour, we had no choice. Yes, you do. You have a big choice here. You either do it or you don't, and you're doing it. And you're doing it against your own manifesto. So as far as I'm concerned, you are in the wrong and you should back down today. Rant over for now.
They're an illegitimate government. Was it only 20% of the people voted for Labour? And I'd like to see a demographic breakdown of that as well, incidentally. Yes. Yeah. And you know what I'm trying to say here? Yeah, I'd like to see who voted for this government. Because, well...
It won't be a couple of years' time. It's quite funny. The 1966 World Cup, where England won the World Cup, there are 10 million people in England who claim to have been there on the day in the stadium. In about 2 years' time, there will be not one solitary person in Britain who would put their hand up and say, I voted Labour. Not one.
Yeah. Oh, here's an interesting comment. Sorry, from Graham Towers. If farmers can't make it to London, they should head to the nearest city en masse. Show the idiot bunch of clowns in charge your strength of feeling. Actually, I'm not going to support that, am I? Well, I can't say that's a good thing to do, can I?
There are a load of posts on Twitter, I think, beginning to emerge of people running these local type of protests. So if they're saying if you can't make it to London, you can go here instead. So look out for those. I mean, bringing the nation to its knees on the 19th is that sort of thing is only allowed for leftists. Trades unions are the only people who are allowed to shut the country down. You got to remember that. Everybody else, private business, you have no right to do such a thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Great one here from Darrell Hart. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I farm poultry and waterfowl here on Anglesey. Now Anglesey farmland is being turned into solar panels. It's a really sorry state of affairs. I'm just too angry at that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Darrell, yeah. I was up in Anglesey and Llandwyn for my 50th, and it's a very special place to me, beautiful place. And to be putting these bloody solar panels everywhere, the environmental impact that these solar panels have on land is absolutely incredible. And I'm sorry, this has all been done by Ed Miliband, of course, and his bacon sandwich snorting idiot,
net zero brain,
and his net zero thrust. I mean, oh my goodness. Does he not? Yeah. These people are just so detached from reality. They just don't know the impact of what they're doing. What do you think peeing off the farmers is going to do? What do you think the outcome of that is going to be?
Well, I think they're trying to get it all out of the way in the first year and then hope it all comes together by the end of their term so they can turn around and say, look at all this. Isn't it wonderful as we look around at a country razed to the ground and covered in solar panels and wind farms and houses? And then we say, where's the meal coming from? Oh, we'll think of something. That's the next 5-year plan.
Yeah. By the way, very good question, and thank you for your super chat, Stephen Kenyon. How can we best support farmers? Buy directly? Question mark. Absolutely. I mean, there are. I do know of farms you can go to and buy produce from directly. I don't see so many of them, but farmers markets, produce is sold. So definitely start looking at farmers markets, and also your butchers and a local greengrocers. You know, have a good think on these things, because have a little look around and see where farmers do outlet to directly. That's a very good point. Thank you, Stephen.
I mean, I'm lucky. I have got a farmer's market. It's a bit of a drive, but it is quite close by, and I've got a good butcher down the road. But also, when you drive out and about in the countryside, you do come across farms where there's a big sign saying, come in and buy some eggs or something like that. They are around, but they do take a bit of hunting out. And actually, I think you can even get good milk from some of these outlets as well. Good, really good stuff. So might be worth us beginning to look around, because if the supermarkets are going to be shut down, the farmers will still want to sell their produce, and why not do it directly? I don't know. It's just an
one of the things I've been looking for a while. One of the things is raw milk in Wales. It's a little more difficult to get hold of than here in England, because I'm staying in England at the moment. But when I'm in Wales, it's a lot harder to get hold of. So it'd be nice if there's any farmers out there who are producing raw milk, if you could just leave something in the comment section. I'll be in touch.
Is raw milk still legal in this country? I thought it had to be treated by...
No.
All right, okay.
No, it is. I can buy it here in England.
Right, okay.
You and I, funny enough, do you remember we nearly went to a farm to have a little look at some?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
you just didn't have time, yeah.
No, that's right. I have bought it in Wales from a butcher's there, very good butcher's, and he gets it from London. So it's like, well, there's plenty of farms around the area.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that comes at a premium as well. So, we need to really look at, the supply of our food and milk. Yeah.
Why are we letting that House of Horrors get away with this? Because we voted them in and they've got an armed guard around them. Now, I'm not saying we should go and blockade Parliament, because that's illegal and you will be arrested for it. So that's a very silly idea. But what you can do is go and make your voice heard on the 19th. So if you do see something local, go along. It may only be 20 people. It might be 200, might be 2,000. But the more people that turn out on the 19th to make their voices heard, the better it will be. I really think we're reaching a sort of a watershed moment at the moment with the way that the lefties think they've got us by the proverbials. But now look at America. Now take a look at America. That's where we were 6 months ahead of the power curve. Can you imagine if we were having an election right now? What might have happened? Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. What's the old Sunak? Maybe that's why Sunak went early, because he thought if he left it this long, someone else apart from Labour or the Tories would suddenly emerge and take a load of seats. Maybe he went early as part of the uniparty state to ensure that someone like Reform UK or UKIP couldn't get in there. So totally. I think he went there just to hand the woke baton on to the next lot of wokesters. Anyway,
absolutely, of course it was. Yeah, totally in agreement there.
Yes, it's a war on Christmas. Well, there, have you heard that thing on GB News where one school, I think it is, has just banned Christmas? We can't have that. We've got to have, it's got to be multiculturalist. It's got to be inclusive. But then we go and have things like, if you're going to rename Christmas because it's divisive, don't you have to rename Ramadan and Diwali because they're divisive? Do we have to change those? Would we even consider changing those? But we can consider stripping the whole name of Christmas off of the calendar. It's ridiculous. We really are setting ourselves up for a fall.
Well, I think you're right, though, Jeff, about the watershed moment as well, though. This could be an exciting period in history. I mean, we've got Jeremy Clarkson heading up this farmers' revolt, which I think is the best way to describe it. And he would be speaking. I believe there'll be other speakers there from other political parties. And I think this is incredible. I mean, okay, you can see, am I a massive fan of Jeremy Clarkson. I'm a bit neither here nor there when it comes to Jeremy Clarkson. He is what he is. He's very successful at it, and I don't really have a strong opinion on him. But at least he's standing up for the farmers right now. Obviously, he has a vested interest, but I think it's more than that. I mean, he could retire tomorrow, sell his farm, and be off. Right?
Yeah,
there is passion. There is some passion in that man about the whole farming situation, and he cares. And if we could, I mean, if he starts taking a political stance, which has been mooted about, and then, oh my goodness, you are in trouble, aren't you, Mr. Starmer? You really are in trouble, because I think that he could be, in some respects, would he make a good politician? I think he'd make a bloody fantastic politician.
Well, he's got the gift of the gab, hasn't he? He can stand up in Parliament and make his voice heard, can't he?
Well, yes, but I mean, the problem with the Houses of Parliament is it's filled with politicians. Politicians are usually not there working in our best interests. No. They're usually career politicians. They have taken this path in life to go from university. They've grown up usually on the left half of them. And I say half of them, more than half of them, because even the Tories are left-wing these days. Yeah. So they've started from college and university. They've gone right the way through, doing no in particular job of any real consequence. Yeah. And then they found themselves now in the House of Parliament, in positions of power, and they're implementing their student ideology en masse, which absolutely sickens me. So, yeah, somebody like Jeremy Clarkson, just like Donald Trump, he wasn't a politician. Breath of fresh air. That's what they are.
Yeah, something new. That's what we need, something new and fresh. And someone who's got an ounce of nous about business and how you make things work, and understanding that you can't, if we go the way we're going, there will never, ever, ever be a Google from Britain or an X from Britain, because we'll all have massive corporates that are tied into government, and no one will go out and form a new company using entrepreneurial skills, because no, that will be stamped on. That's individualistic. It must be stamped on. Only stuff that comes out of large committees and meetings between managers, only that can ever come through. Do you think we'll ever see anything like a new Hollywood in Britain that springs out of that? No, it will never happen. Under a socialist rule, we'll get nothing but mediocrity and worse until it's trashed. I'm sorry, but we've got to face up to this reality. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a way, I'm going to be very controversial here, and I did say this for a long time. Mind you, I find it very difficult to say. Part of me is glad that Labour got in, and there's a reason for that. First of all, they're not going to serve a full term. I don't believe at all. They certainly won't get a second term. And after this, you-know-what show has passed its way through our national rectum, I can tell you now that those liberal lefties out there will have a change of mind and a change of heart on this matter when it comes to Labour and voting Labour ever again. I think that's the end of far-left ideology in Britain. I really do. I think this government has this government has shone a light on what that ideology looks like when it actually manifests into reality.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see, and in a few years' time, once they're out, Britain will turn around and say, never again, never again. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. They really are setting themselves up for a massive fail. If they think they can do all this stuff and then somehow in the future, by all these new laws about work, absolutely stamping on employers, you're going to get employers to treat workers so nicely that everyone will be wonderful and productivity will go through the roof. That's the stuff of absolute nonsense. That's unicorns in the air, rainbow stuff. It really is. Yes. Oh, Mr. Trump said Christmas will be Christmas in America. Glad to hear it. That's really good.
He's also pushing the Bible again. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't. No.
I watched that on X. Yes, the Bible is now going to be, I think he's going to get people to pray for America again, not make America great again as well, but make America pray again. America pray again.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So we're getting back to some real values. Like, do you know what, mate? I'm not joking. I mean, I'd feel like if it wasn't for my young son here, I would be considering
going over there
to America.
Yeah.
I really would. If this country would, but at the same time, I have to. Then I feel like it's a bit of a cop out, isn't it? You know,
it is.
I feel like
It's a big cop out. Yes.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if things got a bit worse, I think people like you and me would be particular targets as well. So yeah, that would be a problem.
Don't worry about that. Yeah. Anyway, land grabs coming says, oh, what's that? Tuckimos. I can't read it because my glasses are even not good enough for this. But thank you very much. Yes, land grabs coming. I think there are. I think this is the start of. You know, if you've got a big, big garden, they'll be coming after you, let alone the big estates. Because once they got through the big estates and racked them up with wealth taxes will be coming. Wealth taxes. Oh, you've got a lot of land. That means you're wealthy. We want it. You know, they'll need all this money to pay for all the people they're going to be bringing in. Because that's not going to stop. That's going to keep on going. That is. Mate, and we've got to pay for it.
I just don't see it happening. I think this farmers' rebellion, I hope it goes as far as it needs to go, whatever that means. Okay, I think it should go as far as it needs to go to achieve the desired outcome of shutting this government down. If this farmers' rebellion is what brings this government down, great. We should unite the kingdom. The whole lot should be coming to bear upon this. I know we've got issues with free speech, but we can just look across at America now and we can see Trump saying, guys, come on, you can do it effectively. He's saying, come on, we've sorted it out here. Now it's your turn. Right. Everyone, we've got to mobilize on this. We have to support our farmers. Jeff, you're going to be there on the 19th, I believe.
I'm going to be there on the 19th. Yep. So there you go. Oh, here's one from Annie H. I won't buy season's greetings cards. No, it really annoys me. A couple of years ago, I went out and just bought some Christmas cards. I just thought, well, Christmas cards. Took them home, and it said season's greetings all over it. I had to chuck them in the bin.
Yeah, well done, mate.
I want Christmas and I want Easter eggs, not what they call them these days. Season's eggs or something. Well, this is just ridiculous. It makes my
Well, I'm not so sure why they're doing that, because Easter is apparently has a links to Ishtar, which is a pagan goddess, and a pretty nasty one at that as well. So that's where, which happens quite a few times, we have crossover of pagan traditions and Christian feasts as well. There's a crossover. Intentional, unintentional is another matter entirely, and there's a lot to go behind this, but I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, well, I just wonder.
I'm surprised they're not supporting the paganistic aspect of it. They should be saying, "Oh, Ishtar! Why not turn Easter into Ishtar?" Yeah.
Well, I sometimes wonder if they sort of changed it to the Christian festivals on a known holiday just to try and make it acceptable in the day. I don't know. You just can't really guess these things. I wonder if the king is complicit with the destruction of the UK. Well, that's a good question. Richard will have an answer, but we'll move on.
Oh, yeah, I could go on about that for a while, yeah.
And in completely answering to a completely different question, of course he is. Oh, dear.
Yes. Oh, I'm not frightened to say it. I mean, for goodness sake, well, at the end of the day, it's His Majesty's government. It's His Majesty's judiciary. It's all His Majesty's. If you hold an actual coin in your hand, it's got his head on, or a £20 note, it's got his head on. It's his system.
Even the post
He must be approving of it. Otherwise, he'd say something about it. He would do something about it if he didn't approve of it.
Anyway, at Jeff, government, military, police, quangos and civil service employs 3.5 million people. The remainder of the UK adult population is around 44 million. We must show up, all of us. Yeah, and there will be some within the government, military, police, quangos and civil service who hide their patriotism and their true beliefs in order to stay in their jobs because they have to. So it's not even as many as you might think, I don't think. It's a very small but vociferous minority that are controlling this country at the moment, because most people, I've said it before and other people have said it, they're not the silent majority, they are the silenced majority. They have been silenced by cancel culture, threat of legal action, and all the rest of it. You know, or you might end up on a non-crime hate incident report and all that sort of thing. And this has got to just stop. It's either illegal and you go to prison, or it ain't illegal. There shouldn't be any in-betweeny shit like we've got at the moment. Yes. Oh, yes, and there's another one. You have to register your chickens now. They might get bird flu, you see. So if they will get bird flu, they've got to know where they are so they can come and destroy them all. Yep. Starmer's promised Gates the farms. Yeah, you have to wonder. He'll either have promised him them, you know, not directly, but yes, we'll hand them over to houses and all the rest of it, rewilding.
Yeah, but as I keep saying, they can promise, they can have all these policies in place and all this ideological stuff in place. It's not going to be acceptable to the British people. No. And it will not happen, therefore. I think we're at a point now where they can't push us any further, because I know, look, I'm not instigating anything. I'm just saying I've read the room. I can see the direction of travel of the mood of the people. And it's, in terms of Starmer right now, it's not looking good.
No, well, that's why we get together on do this, because we keep pointing out there are political ways of doing it. Peaceful protest, elections. The trouble is that people will be tempted. Oh, they go, who do I vote for? I'm not going to go and vote at the next local elections, as I keep saying, next year, next May. There's loads of local elections. Maybe not in your area, but another area. People need to turn out at those elections, slap their cross in anything other than the ones that are in Parliament, apart from maybe Reform. All the rest, ignore them. Okay? Vote for anyone else that's on the ballot box. And if there's only one of those four, that's the only time that you should trash your vote and spoil it. Apart from that, if there's one, what's the raving loony party? If that's the only other one on there, vote for them. Not get them elected, because they're going to be far better than the raving loonies we've already got in there.
Yeah, totally agree.
We need a Trump. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But my point mainly in this today on this video is, no, as somebody said here, no farmers, no food, no future. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got without farmers, there is no future. So, I mean, farmers can quite easily bring this country to a standstill, can bring this government down. This can happen. We need to be fully behind the farmers now.
Yes, we do. Totally behind them, and we got to turn out. That's why, as I say, I'm off to London on the 19th, just to cover that and show you some pictures and bring back a report. I might even live stream there. Who knows? It depends on the situation. Sometimes it can get very difficult with a lack of signal there, but we'll see. So it's really important. It really is important. This is, I think, as I've said, one of the watershed moments going forward. If we allow Labour to smash the farms and suck them lifeless, things are going to change very markedly. We'll be importing far more food than we are now, because no one's going to be farming. They'll all be out of work. There'll be no farms.
It's worse than that, though. As I was watching Gareth Wyn-Jones, brilliant, by the way, Gareth.
Yes.
Love your stuff, mate. And he made the valid point that there's going to be food shortages very soon, potentially, and food shortages means increased prices. People can't afford to eat. Elderly can't afford to eat this winter or not. This will bring down the government. The government is attacking working, ordinary people. The government is attacking the working classes. A Labour government attacking the working classes. When did you ever think that you would ever witness something like that? Did you ever imagine that would happen in your lifetime? Well, here we are. Here it is. And this is what they're doing. They're the people that say we look after the vulnerable and the workers. The only people they look after are the people that pay the union fees. Those are the ones they're looking after, because they know the unions are big, they're powerful, and they're actually going to pass laws to give the unions more power.
to give them more clout so they can suck more money out of the system and not change their working practices either. Productivity is not going to go anywhere.
I find it very, very strange that a union, the farmers' union, have told people not to turn up.
Yes.
Well, or a limited amount of people to turn up to protest.
So what conversations has the NFU and the government had? What have they been talking about behind their closed doors that have made them come forward and say, oh no, we're limiting this particular protest. We don't want it to be too big. Why?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
they could lose some of their influence. That's why. I mean, they want influence. They want to be cozied up. The unions do to the government, and I feel very uncomfortable about that with unions. I think that unions should always be there to put pressure on government. If the unions are not putting pressure on government, then what are they doing exactly? You know, there must be something else to this. Workers' rights within a capitalist system. Yeah, I get all that, but if the system is inherently capitalist, then what's the point of why aren't they actually functioning within that framework? Because unions, believe it or not, in a socialist society have a very different function, which is more cozying up to the government, which makes me think, maybe the National Farmers Union is a little too embedded with the government. So,
possibly.
and a quick message here. Sorry, super chat. Thank you to Mons. Government should be held to their election manifestos by law. Oh, absolutely. Well said, sir.
Yeah.
Well said. Oh, madam, I don't know. I haven't got a gender.
Oh, don't misgender anyone, Richard. That's the end of the world. We'll have to cancel you. We'll have to cancel you.
Yeah, I'll cancel myself now.
Yes, this is a continuation of what Blair started when he opened the doors, says Nigel Armstrong. Yeah, it's all a continuation. It does seem to be the Blair plan, doesn't it? They all seem to be following it. Even through the Tory years, they seem to be unable to veer away too much from the Blair plan. And that's basically because Blair was able to put a lot of people, lefty woke people, into positions of power in the education system, the judiciary, the police and the armed forces and all the rest of it. He managed to get this going because most of them come from universities at the top, you see. And if you can get the woke universities churning them out, then you're there, aren't you? So maybe we need to stop employing university graduates.
Yes, that's a good one. Sorry, Mons has just come back. He's a male. It's a male. It's a male. It's a boy.
It's a male. Hey! No misgendering there, then. Yes.
Nice one, Mons. Yeah.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog. I work 10 hours a day, every day, and my cupboards are bare and I can't afford utilities, and I earn £400 a week. Well, that's not good, is it? This.
That's horrific.
There should be a minimum wage in place, shouldn't there? Well, there is one. So what's happened there? Yeah.
Well, I mean, £400 a week, and you can't afford to live. That says. I'm not saying oh, you can't afford to live on £400. No, I get where you're coming from, mate. Yeah. Honestly, that is, £400 a week a few years ago you'd have been living in the lap of luxury. Now, £400 a week, you're struggling. Yeah. You are struggling on that amount of money.
Yeah.
And people say, I've heard people say, I can do it. I know there are people who are on less. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, I know.
I've been on less. Really. I'm not even on minimum wage myself at the moment. It's true. But there we go. We do this for a passion. And do you know what? I think this means something as well. So that's why I do it. But mate, I'm sorry that you're struggling, because I understand. It also depends where you live, and there's a number of factors, how many dependents you have as well.
And how much work is available locally as well is another thing. Yeah.
Well, rent, as somebody's just come up with here, Kermit the Frog, my rent is £345 a week.
What?
There you go. Right. Yeah. If you're earning 400 quid and your rent is 345, how can you afford to live? How can you?
No, I know.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yes.
Oh, thank you to Chava2 UK for your super chat. We buy our eggs online, farm fresh and delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's coming straight from a farm, then that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be moving away. I mean, the supermarkets. I bet the supermarkets are feeling very nervous at the moment because they'll be under pressure now. You know, what's going to happen? If food production in the country goes down, they will be forced to import more food. That's not a good look for many people in this country. It's not really green, is it?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Right. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Bless you. Bless you. If we could help, we would.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear your situation. Honestly, I mean that. I really do.
Yeah.
God bless you. All right. I'll be praying for you tonight.
Someone did
right?
say get a lodger. I understand that you can get a lodger and you can get tax relief for it, or you could get tax relief for it at one time. But these days, you might have to take in a certain type of lodger. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. There's one. I'm the same as you. I identify as sane, says Unusual Suspect 101. On the endangered list, apparently. Yes, every sane person is on the endangered list. Anyway, I think we've talked about that one enough. And it's just great to see that the farmers are reacting now and that the nation is behind them, apart from a few woke lefties who can't seem to get out of, if they're not saying pro-Palestine stuff, they're all racists and Nazis. That's it. That's the end of them.
It was disgusting. That disgusts me because I've grown up in a farming community. That most of them are so unpolitical. It's unbelievable because they just want to get on and just do their job. They haven't got time for all that. And there's the most decent, hard-working people I've ever met. I've spent my entire life surrounded by them, as I said, and to call them Nazis, that just shows the mentality of the left wing towards ordinary working people. Don't think for 1 second to ever be fooled again into believing that Labour and the left wing are pro-workers. They are not. They're against the lot of us.
Yeah,
there we go. Anyway, listen, everyone. Yeah, well,
here we go.
Do like this video and subscribe. And over to Jeff.
I was going to say, I can't go without Richard telling you all to like, subscribe, and comment below. So, thanks very much if you do. Be really nice. Anyway, thank you very much for your participation. It's great to hear so many things. I'd love to show all the comments, but they do come through quite fast, and I do have to filter out one or two of them because they're a bit spicy. You get my drift. So, it's great to hear from all of you. And so it's good afternoon from me.
And it's good afternoon from him. Good afternoon.